What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to TWR. My name is Tavian, and this is my world of reptiles. And as always, I'm super stoked to be here making another video for y'all. So today, I'm about to be talking a little bit about my blood python and my own experiences with blood pythons. And I'm going to pull out my boy Rafiki here in a little bit. But before I talk about that, I just want to explain that I'm not going to be doing any care or anything about this particular species. I'm just talking about my own experience with my particular snake, my particular blood python, and it may not, necessarily mean that you're going to have the same experience. But if you are or have been thinking about getting a blood python, or after this video you're like, now I am thinking about getting a blood python, and you want to know as much as you can know about them, I really suggest you check out Dan Manago. I'm saying it probably wrong, but it's Dan Manago Snakes. I'll put a card up to his channel right here. He's got probably the most content on blood python that I have found on YouTube thus far. He has got a lot of great content. He keeps them. He's got a lot of beautiful animals over there, and definitely got a lot of care guides and a lot of just like basic information, a lot of advanced information, a lot of stuff that you need to know when it comes to blood python, whether that's their care or breeding them or anything like that. So if you were interested in blood python content and information, check out his channel. He's got a lot. I apologize if I messed up your name, dude. I know that you swing through my channel every once in a while, so if you see this and I mess up your name, my apologies. So yeah, that being said, I'm not sharing any type of care or anything, just my own experiences with my particular blood python. So that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and grab a little boy here and start talking to y'all about whatever it is my brain's gonna go on. Alright, I got my boy Rafiki here. He is looking really good. He's recently shed, so he's looking pretty slick. He's got a little bit of shed still up under his chin that he is working on. So I'll try not to make this video too long so he can continue working on getting that off. But so in blood pythons, y'all see, they're absolutely stunning animals, absolutely underrated in the community. Unfortunately, because they have a history of being just kind of super defensive and really bitey, and just not easily handleable. They're just not really, cared for as much in the hobby as other snakes like ball pythons or carpets or anything like that. Because they're just known for having really bad attitudes, unfortunately. And so I hope that with enough exposure like Dan's channel, and with more people getting into them in the hobby, and just kind of sharing their experiences with them, that we can kind of curb that bad stereotype that they tend to get. Now, this species can be really great. They can be super handleable. Like I said, if you check out Dan's channel, he's got a lot of amazing great snakes, and most of them are super docile and really calm. However, from my experience, I really feel like this animal with work can get there, but it requires constant work. A lot of species, when they're young, they're always, pretty defensive. They're quick to bite, ready to defend themselves at anything. Anything breathes on them, they're ready to bite. But with work and a lot of handling, they can docile out and they can be absolutely calm. And then after a while, you don't even need to handle them as much, and you'll still have a pretty positive experience handling-wise with them. But for me, when it comes to this guy, that has not necessarily been the case. I have not been handling him as much as I would like. But when long periods of time goes between handling, he doesn't seem to remember his previous experience. He almost seems to revert back into being super defensive, quick to bite, and all of that. And so in my experience, it requires continuously handling them for them to continue to be docile animals. I feel like, and maybe like I said, just my snake. For this particular snake, in order for him to continue to be relaxed and calm as he is right now, it requires lots of handling. Now, before I even put him on the camera, I had to hold him for a bit because he was just absolutely in that defensive space and looking to bite, and it was difficult to figure out the cameraing situation from when I first pulled him out, so I just kind of sat with him. So I really want to talk about, for those of you who are maybe thinking about getting a blood python, what is it like when it comes to handling? How do you deal with the bitey nature of these animals when they are super defensive? One of the first things I have to say is it requires confidence. There's too much I see. I've seen people trying to figure out, hold their first snakes for the first time, and they do that thing where they hesitantly put their hands inside of the enclosure and just kind of like hold their hands out there, just kind of letting the snake sniff them or something, or doing that thing where they kind of like get their fingers up underneath the snake in a kind of a hesitating manner. I have to say, with this particular species, that is a surefire way of getting bit. First of all, you're there, okay? And the snake is already unsure about you. It's not really sure what you're there for. Your hands are just kind of there. And you're making the snake more and more nervous the more you continue to hover there. And so by the time you get close to that snake, or even start getting your fingers up under that snake, you're likely to get bit. Like, this guy would absolutely take a snap at you if you even attempted to try to reach in that manner for him. So, one of the first things I have to say is when you're going in to get your blood python, you absolutely want to be super, super confident. You don't just want to slowly reach in there and freak the snake out by just hovering your hand in there or trying to tickle it or slowly get your fingers under it and feeling it out, because you're definitely more likely to get bit. At least in my experience, if I were to do that with my blood python here with Rafiki, he'd take a bite out of me, no doubt. So I can't just reach in there hesitantly. I have to reach in there, scoop my hands up underneath, get them, pull them out quick. There's no hesitation there. I have to be confident with it. Another way to avoid getting bit by these guys is also, while I say be confident, while I say go in there, reach in there and grab it, be quick, you also need to make sure that the snake is aware that you're there, because another surefire way of getting bit with any species, but particularly with this species, is that you go in there when a snake is dead asleep, grabbing it. It's not even gonna take time to figure out, like, are you gonna hurt me? I'm getting a little anxious about you. Like, there's no time for it to happen, because as soon as you've gotten it, it comes out of that sleep, mouth open, ready to bite, because it's got nothing else it can do. It doesn't know what else to do. Like, it's being woken up and you're just grabbing it. So first thing I want to say when it comes to that, before you get all confidently going in there, grabbing at your snake, you got to make sure your snake is awake, and make sure your snake knows that you are actually there as well. Otherwise, you're likely to get a really bad bite from a really startled snake, and it won't be the snake's fault, because it's just like somebody waking you up out of your dead sleep, suddenly grabbing you. You're going to come out swinging. So definitely make sure your snake is awake, whether that's using a hook to tap drain or getting just a paper towel roll, just kind of brushing it a little bit, making sure that it's awake, making sure that it knows you are there, and then confidently swooping in and grabbing your snake. Usually you want to aim for the thicker part of the body. You don't want to try to grab it near the head or the tail. Just kind of get near that mid part of the body, scoop up, lift up, pull out quickly. Then you want to immediately get yourself in a position so that the snake is comfortably held. Like, some snakes might be more arboreal or whatever, so you can kind of shoulder or arm it or hand it or whatever. This particular species is a ground-dwelling ambush predator. It does nothing but sit there, wait, and throws its whole body at something to eat. So it really needs to have a full, steady, just like I'm trying to use my arms, my full everything to give it a full base to lay its body across. I don't want it to try to let it hang by its tail. It's not one of those type of snakes that would appreciate that. So I'm definitely trying to keep all of its body, if not most of its body, completely supported with my arms and my hands. Not including, of course, when you're trying to transition, it can be a little complicated like now, but if you can keep your snake fully embraced and supported, then you can already start that handling process off on a good note, because the snake at least feels grounded and comfortable. It doesn't feel like it's like hanging off of a branch when it shouldn't be, because it likes to be steady and calm and on the ground. So you can't like treat this snake like you're treating an arboreal species, because it will not feel secure, it will not feel steady, and you are more likely to get bit. Now, that being said, like right now, he is super calm, but he's calm. He's calm enough. I can sort of hear him huffing a little bit still, but he's calm enough. But when he first comes out, of course, when he first came out, he was not so. He was extremely stiff. and he was definitely in an S position. He was very much so aware that my presence was there. He was looking back at me with his eyes. Now, how do you handle a snake that's in that space? Now, one of the things to think about is things like carpet pythons or reticulated pythons, which are long, sleek-bodied, very fast snakes. They're more likely to be able to just turn around on you real quick, like straight up 180 and get you. Blood pythons are a little bit harder. Can't do that as easily. Let's just say that. They can't do that as easily. They're stout-bodied snakes. They're all about ambushing and then just throwing their full-on body behind whatever it is that they're trying to get with like a straightforward shot. So whipping back to get you is not quite as easily for them. So what you can do is see if I can get him to do it, but is you can look and see how I kind of move, but he's a little bit relaxed right now. But if he was really intense, he'd be kind of locked in position, kind of watching me, and he would hold his head exactly where it'd be. So if he was super defensive, you want to do your best to try to keep your body in a position where his face is not able to just easily turn around and see you. So if he's starting to turn at me this direction, I'm going to keep turning this way, and his head's going to go that way. If he was going that way, I would go this way. Like this right now, he's getting pretty huffy, so I'm turning this way because he's super aware of me in this direction, and so I'm turning this way, okay? So I'm just kind of keeping his head pointed forward and away from me. If my hand were to come out in front of his face or even on the side of his face where he could actively see me and see it, he would absolutely strike out to try to get me, because right now he's not feeling comfortable. I just got him kind of worked up a moment ago. Something I was holding him got him a little bit upset here, and so right now he's pretty defensive, and so I'm working on keeping his face forward the way it is now. If he were to start turning in any direction, I would turn the opposite direction to try to get his head to not face me. I want his face to go forward so that he can't see me as well. And the only way he's going to be able to really strike me is if I came in front of his face or up in front in the side of his face where he could absolutely see me. He would absolutely tag me. So that being said, when it comes to blood pythons, it's you want to get them out and you want to usually try to stay still. But if they're super defensive and they're locking on to you and they're turning towards you because they're trying to get ready to bite you, you want to have yourself in a position where you can actually turn your body and move your body so that the snake's head can be moved in a position where it is no longer targeting you. So this way, he's turning this way towards me, so I've turned myself this way and got his face back forward and not locked down to me again. So sometimes it can feel like you're going in circles or going back and forth because they know that you're there and they're fully aware of you and they're trying to get into a position where they can get you, but they can't whip around like a carpet python or like a reticulated python. So they need you to come into their eyesight so that they can get you. And so it's important to be able to move your body around so that you can avoid that bite. But after a while, once they have settled down and realize, okay, you still got me and I'm all right, then he'll get a bit more explorative. He'll start licking his tongue out a bit, start moving a bit, and be more likely to move around. And you can relax a little bit and start working on that hand-under-hand movement with your snakes. And he's not super active right now, so I can't. Oh, there he is. Let's try moving. So when you're grabbing your snake and he's starting to be active, you definitely want to bring your hands under your snake. Never try to put your hand in front of the snake's face. Don't bring it in front to try to catch it off or cut off its path because you're likely to get bit in that moment. So I'm all about the just kind of coming up and under your snake to fully support it as he is moving about and going and getting more and more active. Also using your arm and body to make sure that he's got a stable base to sit on, especially because I'm standing right now. Normally I might be on the bed or on near a floor where I wouldn't have to focus so much on giving him a solid surface with my body, but that's what I'm doing right now. And so that's just something to be aware of. I don't know if those are tips that might help you, but the constantly moving, being aware of where his face is, keeping his face in front or facing away from you until he starts getting more explorative like he is now. Like now, if he were to come back and crawl up my arm, I'd be comfortable with that because I now know he's no longer tight. His body is not rigid. He's huffy, but he's always going to be huffy. I think in a way he's a lot like a Burmese python in that way. They just huff a lot and they hiss a lot, but he's all right. He's fine. So if he were to come back to try to come up my arm, I would let him do that just like he's doing right now. And I know that he's not going to get me because right now he's calm. He realized, okay, that you're just something that's here. You're not going to go away. You're also not hurting me. So, it's just about learning your snake, figuring out their body language, and being confident. I think these are amazing snakes. They make great pets. And if you are a person who's willing to put the work in and really work with them, then you can get a lot of reward from keeping blood pythons. So again, definitely a species to consider if you're looking to get something a little bit more advanced species wise, and you've been thinking about something and you've been looking at the blood but you haven't been sure because of all the stuff you've heard about them. Man, I say give them a shot. Like they take work, but they're absolutely worth it and they're absolutely amazing. So if you're invested and you're like, I think I'm gonna do it, check out Dan's channel. Check out more channels that might be featuring bloods. Read all the articles you can. Look up everything that you can about them. They're not necessarily a hard species to keep at all. It's just their temperament. Their temperament requires some work, and it requires consistent work. And you just have to be brave and you have to be confident. And you can't be easily scared because they're definitely going to do whatever they can to try to scare you away. And they're huffy creatures. And they hit hard when they bite. They hit so hard because they throw their whole bodies behind it. But they're amazing. And I have no regrets of owning this species. And I absolutely suggest anybody looking to get something a little bit more advanced, this is a species to try out, especially if you like a heavy body but not super long. You got that. These guys get thick, but they stay short and stout, which is super cute. I love it. So anyway, this video is getting long. I can see that. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. I'm also going to put him back so he can finish getting that shed off of his face. He's calmed down a lot, and that's usually when I try to end it with handling, especially in the beginning, especially when they're really young, you get their handling. They may be huffy and stiff in the beginning, but the moment they start getting more relaxed and calm and it's on a good note, end it on a good note, end it on a good note so that the next time will feel less scary for them. And that's all. That's all. I'm gonna go. So you all take care. You love yourselves, love your loved ones, love your reptiles, and you all keep spreading those herbs.